Hey there guys, Lee with Untapped Potential. We're doing part 5 of Liliana's story, the epic conclusion of how this necromancer became super powerful and real creepy with lines all over her body. It's complicated, but we'll get through it together. Alright. Decades have passed since your last planeswalk. As you age, you find your necromantic powers cannot stave off the specter of death forever. You become obsessed with preserving your life. No price is too great, and you seek a contract with 4 ancient demons. Yeah, these things always end well, but wait, there's more. Liliana needs to defeat all 4 demons in succession to earn her power. Defeat the demons to earn their power. Here we go. Person number 1 is Gristlebrand. He is actually, story-wise, actually I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll come back to that. So Gristlebrand plays an swamp, sorry. It's all swamps all the rest of the day. We go ahead and play Shambling Goblin. Our opponent finds a turn 2 play. It's Charcoal Diamond, which will allow him to tap for black, starting next turn. So he's basically trying to ramp into big threats. I wonder what sort of big threats a bunch of demons might have. Maybe other demons? It's worth thinking about. Anyway, we run out our Undying Zombie, and then we have Lord of the Undead in our hand, as well as another zombie, so we're off to a pretty solid start. So we can just go ahead and beat down Gristlebrand real quickly. And if our opponent chooses to block either of our creatures here, we don't much care. They do block our Shambling Goblin, so we don't get to give anything -1/-1, but whatever, we cleared the field. It was totally worth it. Here's a Child of Night with its infuriating little lifelink ability, and we're drawing entirely too many swamps for our own good. We need some gas, and we need it now. So here's Murder to destroy target creature, so he kills our lord, and then he proceeds to not block us. In the second main, though, we do drop our 4/4 zombie, who's only going to get more and more powerful as this game goes on. Here's Shadowborn Demon, who's extremely powerful, and immediately kills my creature. So, that's bad news. We take 2 damage from Child of Night, who gives Gristlebrand 2 life. We then proceed to find yet another land and pass the turn. Things are looking pretty grim for Liliana right now, but fortunately our opponent has to sacrifice a creature every turn to keep his demon in play. And he wastes his turn playing another Charcoal Diamond. As you can see, he does not have enough creatures in his graveyard. Our opponent mind rots us here, but we have nothing but swamps, so we discard them. We go ahead and play the swamp, play Carrion Crow, and attack our opponent for a quick damage. Now, during the beginning of his turn, he has to sacrifice a creature for his demon. Finding no others, he sacks the demon. Alright, so despite ourselves, we managed to get control of this board again, but here's a 5/5 Death Toucher. Joy. So it looks like at this point, the plan is just to beat down in the air, as we attack with Carrion Crow to reduce Gristlebrand to 3. We have no cards in our hand, and he's running low himself, so he chooses not to attack to stay on the defensive, and we decide to go ahead and finish Gristlebrand off here by attacking in the air. We reduce him to 0, and we get the cards he had in his hand. So we waited to play anything until the second main phase so that we could use our mana the best way possible. So we go ahead and use Gravedigger to get back our zombie lord there to make all our other zombies stronger, which is going to be very important soon. Our opponent's still not doing anything. They choose to mind rot us, so we have to discard both the ghouls. But ultimately, it's not the end of the world. Our opponent plays a vanilla 3/2, we're not too worried about it, and using my Vampire Lord, every turn I can return a zombie from my graveyard to my hand. I gotta focus on keeping this guy alive, because we're gonna need that. Honestly, I finished this guy off so quick, I don't even remember to get his name. I feel kinda bad about that. But, doesn't matter. We're going ahead and beating him down in the air. Both our crows are 3/3s, which is gonna end the game quickly, and our opponent seems to be finding nothing but land. Speaking of land, we draw one of our own here, and we decide just to go ahead and finish the opponent off again before we do anything so that we can get the most out of it possible. So here's Demon number 3. Our hand gets bigger as our contract continues to develop. It's like AT&T, there's no getting out of this contract. We play another one of our creatures that gets more and more powerful, and we continue to vomit more and more creatures onto the battlefield. We've got quite the zombie army built up at this point, and our opponent only starts with 10 life. Here comes a Runescarred Demon, though, which lets him search his library for any card and put it into his hand. Probably bad news for us. This guy's name, I think, was Benzalok, if I read that right. Anyway. He's still not attacking, but now he has a bunch of Death Touch creatures. Now we also have a bunch of big creatures, so we know what he's likely to block. We go ahead and decide to make attacks with our 14/14s. Basically, it's a way of getting the Death Touchers off the field. That's what this is. We were going to have to deal with them sooner or later. It might as well be now. And we can go ahead and return both of them. We can go ahead and return one of them to our hand using our Vampire's ability. Blammo, he's back on the field with 14 power, 14 toughness. The opponent can't really afford to attack with any of their creatures as they have to keep their defenses up. And even though he has the 6/6 flyer, we can't attack with our flyers though because he has the 6/6 flyer. Our opponent has to take a long time to think here as the AI seems to bog down when the board gets this heavy, and another charcoal diamond comes down to continue helping them power out threats. At this point though, they have so much mana, I can't see it helping much. We draw Bone Splinters here, which we use targeting our Undying creature, or rather, we would had I remembered to do it right the first time. Here we go though. So now we've killed his big Death Toucher, and our Undying creature comes back, but he reaps the creature of his that would have died, so he gets to draw a bunch of cards. Well, phooey. We just decided to turn almost everything sideways here in order to force some bad blocks or just to completely murder our opponent. Our opponent does some blocks, does some trades, we reduce the demon to 3, and then we go ahead and get another soulless one back from our graveyard and cast it so that we now have another 14/14 creature. You don't have to hit with too many 14/14 creatures to end a game quickly. We did tap out our flyers though, which may have been ill-advised, as now we leave ourselves open to a 6-point swing from an opponent with nothing to lose. Any second now. He decides to play the swamp first. It must have been important. Like I said, the AI tends to bog down when the field gets like this. Anyway, I believe he attacks me with a 6/6 here. He does. He puts me down to 7. Because like I said, at this point he has nothing to lose. And ultimately, there's still one more up to bat behind him. So here comes Desecration Demon. Now this guy's going to be tricky, and I have to remember a bunch of triggers, so let me explain this one carefully. Good, because there's 2 of them actually. At the beginning of each combat, including mine, I can sacrifice a creature to tap the demon, but if I do, it gets a +1/+1 counter. So basically, we can sacrifice creatures to tell it that now we don't want to deal with you right now. Basically is what it is. We attack with the 2 14/14s here, trying to perhaps get some of those demons off the field, get them to block. But the opponent, sadly, is only getting rid of one of them, instead chumping with one of his small creatures. Nevertheless, we go ahead and get a Carrion Crow back from our graveyard, and we play it. We have to remember those flyers, though, since I did keep a flyer up to defend this time, but he still has 2 6/6 flyers. And if one of those hits, we go to 1, and if both of them hit, we die. And since our opponent has enough mana to do anything they want, we have to be wary. We sacrifice an Undying creature here to tap down his Desecration Demon, getting it back with more power than ever, and as our opponent attacks, we throw a crow in the way. That's going to be a recurring theme for the rest of this battle, actually, as we routinely over and over get crows to keep ourselves alive in the air. We are fortunate, though, in that we're not really drawing any land. We're not drawing lands anymore, and we're drawing creatures, which is good because that's what we need. We get the crow again, but we unfortunately forget the fact that they have to come into play tapped, which is bad news for us. And we also, unwisely, played our stuff before attacking, meaning we're kind of open on the swing back here. We make our opponent chump with their Death Touch Rat, and we give our opponent -1/-1, and we consider using our swamp to kill him, and we decide to wait until his upkeep, until the beginning of his turn to do it instead. Problem is, we don't have an upkeep trigger, and I accidentally just said no to sacrificing something to Desecration Demon. I think you can see where the problem is here. He now has 2 flyers, and I only have 1 flying defender, and I didn't tap down the demon. So I throw the crow in the way of the demon in order to keep myself alive. But we are at 1 life. Then again, power at any cost is kind of the Liliana shtick here, and we're going to make it play. Alright, so we draw Crew Revival here in order to destroy our opponent's one untapped flyer, and we go ahead and just attack. We don't sacrifice anything, and we attack with everybody in a tremendous death or glory attack against Kothelfed. And guess what? We got there. Immortality is in our grasp. And guys, it feels good. So we've got a bunch of zombie dudes, and it looks like, God, we were like a moment away from death's doorstep, weren't we? But that's all right. Kothelfed, he's a man of his demon of his word. So I guess it's time to get some tattoos here. Alright, so the point is here, so Liliana made this horrible deal with the devils and basically got more or less eternal life in exchange for, all the horrible things that comes with, selling your soul to demons. Well, eventually Liliana realized that maybe she got a bad end of a deal here and decides, you know what? I'm gonna go murder all these guys. So far in the story she took care of Kothelfed first, and the first monster we fought, Gristlebrand, who called Innistrad home, she dealt with him second. The other two were still out there, and I'm sure we'll see them in the future. But in the meantime, the demons test your skill, and, though pushed to your limit, you prove your worth. They etch their contract into your flesh, granting you youth and unspeakable power in exchange for your servitude as a planeswalker. But what good are contracts if they can't be broken? So look forward to seeing more Liliana in the future, guys, as she's got to overcome her past, try to find a future, and, well, she's going to call take backsies on the soul thing. Anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed Liliana's campaign. This has been Lee with Untapped Potential. Thanks for watching. We're going to do Chandra next. We got to get this out of the way soon. The expansion's coming soon. Thanks for watching.